Hi, this is the Cat's Library. I'll be your librarian today. Do you ever get the feeling that you're being watched? No? Just me? Okay. I chose a Quetzal because I knew that there was some good mythology for the story section. That, and I like the colors. Engage speed paint! This time around, the reference photo is a resplendent Quetzal, and I think it's from Costa Rica because the title of the photograph is File Resplendent Quetzal in Costa Rica 02.jpg, even though the resplendent Quetzal is the national bird of Guatemala. I'm going to say this right now, I know absolutely nothing about Guatemala other than it's south of Mexico. The stuff in this section is new to me that I thought I'd share. The bird is on the flag, the coat of arms, and the money in Guatemala is called the Quetzal. This goes back to the ancient Mayans using literal Quetzal tail feathers as currency. I will further elaborate upon the cultural significance of this in the lore section toward the end of the video. Quetzal birds typically live in montane cloud forests, according to Wikipedia. Montane means mountains. I don't know why we need another name for them because mountain and alpine are also options. The definition of montane said that it was a mountainous or alpine region. But c'est la vie. Cloud forest is pretty self-explanatory. It's a tropical forest that frequently has a cloud cover. Quetzals specifically nest in hollowed out trees. Sometimes they hollowed these out themselves or other birds such as woodpeckers previously carved them. Naturally hollowed trees or stumps are also optimal nesting sites. Quetzals eat bugs, frogs, and fruits. More bugs as chicks and more fruit as adults. They especially love avocados, which they eat whole and later spit up the pits. They are monogamous and their mating ritual is airborne while making a whole lot of noise. A mated pair take turns incubating the eggs and caring for the young. They stick their tails out of the hollow to camouflage into the tree. Quetzals are listed as near threatened on Wikipedia, but this is difficult to confirm given how remote the locations they live are in. Those locations are also threatened, which is probably why the birds are listed as such. It is difficult to keep a Quetzal in captivity because they can't have iron, which was originally in the water given to them. Before this was understood, the bird was a symbol of liberty since it would rather be dead than a slave. Since the iron complication was discovered, there is a zoo that has successfully kept and bred Quetzals. I'm not sure if that's a sad thing because of the symbolism, or a happy thing because the literal bird has a greater chance of surviving. Probably more of a happy thing because bird freedom and human freedom are completely different things. Okay, that seems like a good jumping off point because I'm not sure how to transition from that to the drawing portion of your featured presentation. So here we go. The most difficult challenge in this drawing was that it is a green bird in a green tree. This was a value study through and through, which means balancing the light and dark of the image. The reference appears to be mostly monotone with very few contrasting colors. There are, however, different shades of green throughout the multiple elements. The other challenge was that the background was out of focus. This is great for photography because it helps the subject stand out, but it is sometimes complicated to pull off in a drawing, and this was certainly one of those times. Usually what you want to do is draw the background clearly and add a blur effect afterwards, sort of like focusing a camera. I personally couldn't see what was going on in the background, and so I opted to try to draw the background blurred like it was in the photograph. I had multiple layers throughout the drawing process trying to get blocks of color correct and the layers ordered correctly and the colors the right shade as the leaves in the reference. I had no idea what I was doing. Vaguely, I think in the far background there is a light coming through the trees that is more blurry and yellow. There is a tree in the midground that is a darker olive green. It's slightly bluer than the far background. The top of the tree had more light hitting it than the bottom of the tree, which tripped me up a bit. This was especially prominent when I tried to add the bird. Its head is darker than the top of the tree, but the tail is darker than the tree closer to the base. The midground was the most complicated part of the image. In the foreground, there were some dark blue-green leaves along the side. I got a cluster of those leaves drawn the way I liked them, and then copy and pasted them to the appropriate places. I also flipped them around and used the distort tool so that it wasn't so obvious. And that's everything in this image. Oh yeah, subject birdie. I think it was pretty straightforward. Simple shape, except for the tail, simple pose, simple lighting. I think it's completely in shadow, that helps a lot. The challenge, because I'm gonna presume that you're here for the elements that I found challenging, was in the feathers and the values and colors that would make it stand out for the background. I just spoke at length about the values and colors when it came to the background, in the background section. So I will elaborate on the feathers. Side note, I just looked back at the other birds that I've drawn for this series, and I think something has clicked in the last few months because I appear to have knocked it out of the park. Here are the tips that I did that I think got the Quetzal from looking like these handsome devils to this. Step 1, do it completely wrong the first time around so that you have to redo it. In that first step, work off of a sketch layer that could use one more pass so that the head is the wrong size and angle and the tail is too short. Step 2, from the first sketch to the first color rendering, make sure that there are clear sections for the different types of feather, textures, and lengths. Further on in the process, use a thin brush to mark out which directions the feathers wrap around the form. Step 3, redraw/copy and distort the flat colors literally closer to the reference image so that you can see them both at the same time and line up what goes where correctly. Keep in mind how low the space on the back of the wings goes. Step 4, use the original failed drawing as a shading layer and then add some additional shading and highlights on top to further outline the feathers. Also, add back some dark purple that faded out on the original pass. Voila, you've got feathers! After that, I worked on the branch. I don't draw moss nearly enough is what that taught me. I had trouble with the everything of that moss. The shape, the color, the texture, the shading. I tried using different brushes that didn't really work well. Maybe a little bit. And then I went back in with a small brush, like with the feathers, and scribbled a bunch until it looked sufficiently complicated. I don't know how much it actually looks like moss, or even good, because I was trying to make it chaotic and natural, which only took a couple of minutes. The feathers and leaves in the background took me a couple of hours and are jealous of the moss. I am scared about what they're going to do with that jealousy. The moss may need to go into a witness protection program. And that is everything in the drawing. I don't think I left anything out. Let's not hold it off any longer and get to the story portion. It's more of a mythology summary section today. Like the Python video, this is another dragon story section. I need to get on doing more dragon stuff. I'm in the middle of a dragon craze and I can't think of any good dragon video ideas, but that's never stopped me before. I could make a bad idea if I'm having fun doing it. Back on topic. The Quetzal bird is a symbol of the Mayan/Aztec god Quetzalcoatl. His name came from Quetzal, meaning sky, co, earth, and ultal, water. Except this other source said that it was Quetzalcoatl from the tail feathers of the Quetzal bird and Codal, which means snake. So now I don't know what to believe. He was a feathered serpent who sometimes appeared human. He was the wind, and he brought music to earth, which may have been because music was speculated to come from wind and bird song. Apparently during the Aztec reign, he took only animal sacrifices and not human ones. He was heavily associated with the evening and morning star, which is apparently Venus. He may have had a spear and that star was at his point. The other source that I have said that he died and reincarnated as the planet Venus. There were several different versions of the Earth in South American mythology, and in the most recent iteration, Quetzalcoatl went to the underworld and brought back bones, which he brought back to life and became the first humans in the New World. The animal and drawing sections in this video ran pretty long today, and so I'll leave off with the story section here. I don't know what I'm going to do for the next video, specifically to go with some of the more complicated ideas that I have or the simpler ones. The options are dragon, dinosaur, or rattlesnake if you want to help me decide. I'll see you when I see you. Bye!